Hi, welcome to the Sport Touring Network. I'm introducing a new series for new and intermediate riders, performance skills for street safety. Now, I've benefited greatly from on-track motorcycle instruction, as well as having been in the industry for nearly 10 years, including my sport touring motorcycle rental company and managing my fleet up to over 30 bikes at the peak with 19 different models. And I broke them all in as well, so I spent a lot of time in twisty roads on these motorcycles. Now, the experience of breaking them all in and seeing the differences between models got me very curious, and I found myself returning to track riding schools. I was surrounded by twisties where my shop was, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about spirited riding on my favorite roads. Now, initially, it was to help my customers with their skills on my motorcycles, but then applying the education and training across my different models became a real challenge because track schools, rightly so, teach track riding skills. And I found many nuances with street riding. While I've often said all motorcycles are the same, slight differences from model to model can have a profound effect on the handling, stopping, emergency maneuvers, and more. Since my customers were sport touring enthusiasts from around the world and many took riding vacations each year, we had great conversations about performance riding tactics and the subtle differences between models and different types of twisty roads. Now, one of the biggest benefits of having all those models at the same time while going to several track schools each year gave me insights I would have never had otherwise. Being able to test my theories with other experienced riders, and some with over 300,000 miles of riding experience, was a real treat, and I became fascinated at how the experienced riders all had similar philosophies about surviving, yet engaging in spirited riding. Fast forward to the pandemic, when I closed the business and sold motorcycles for 3 seasons, and again, focused on sport touring brands. During this time, it was clear how much experience I had gained over the previous 7 seasons. Now, I realized that prior to the last 10 years, I may have been riding for 40 years, and a good portion of that was racing and on the track. I probably learned as much about performance street riding in 10 years as I had in the previous 40. I also recognize I'm fortunate to be around to talk about it. Growing up and riding in New York City, street racing, the first model year of the Honda CB750, I saw more than enough close calls to know it's not all skill. Now I'm focused on stacking the deck so luck shows up more often. Having been on both sides of the coin, the crazy kid nicknamed Speedo because I only knew one way to ride, to now being the guy who's telling people to slow down on the street and take it to the track, I definitely have some opinions about riding and enjoying the ride safely. One thing I am compelled to say is that to all those loved ones out there who say it's not him or her I'm worried about, it's all the other people out there on the road. True, we do have a lot of risks in the form of other drivers, but there are far too many single bike incidents to not be more concerned about that as well. And many of the incidents involving other cars are the result of the motorcyclist excess speed or lack of care in sketchy situations. Now, I'm not saying motorcyclists are all at fault, but when you're riding and you know people don't see you, and by the way, it's been that way for 100 years and it's not going to change. There are steps we have to take proactively. It's still no guarantee, but just like the safest driver can still get into an accident, we have to do what we can. Start with the things that are easy for us to do. It starts with understanding the limits of our motorcycle, understanding the limits of ourselves, and how those limits change exponentially with speed. I've had many conversations with police motor officers who are riding 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and also tour guides who are out on rides for sometimes 3 weeks at a time. And all of them have a very proactive approach to managing the environment. And that's the kind of stuff we'll be talking about in these lessons, including illustrations, drills, and enough theory to back up the tutorials. The series is called Performance Riding Skills for Street Safety. The focus we'll be riding on twisty roads, but I will also cover some urban topics. The reason for the twisty road focus is because I'm a sport touring enthusiast who's had the good fortune of riding all over the United States, and I want to make it possible for others to have that experience as well, and to do so safely. With motorcycle rental so accessible these days, it's possible for you to ride in every state with mountains and a few countries too. As I said, many of my customers took riding vacations every year all over the world. I can't think of a better way to see the world than on two wheels, exploring new twisty roads every day. To learn more, click the link that's with this post.